Hello, everyone. Welcome to our next sim. This is going to be our long-term sim, and if you can see right in this top left corner, we picked the Cincinnati Reds, and there are multiple reasons why we picked the Reds, but we'll get into it. I just updated my entire um, personnel. We fired pretty much all of our minor league coaches. There were a handful that we kept. We hired our major league personnel. Let's do that real quick. We just went through that. I haven't even really looked at the roster all that much yet. So it's opening day. And the reason we picked the Cincinnati Reds, so first off, let's talk about the owner because that's where everybody always wants to start, right? Um, so we have, oh, I thought I turned off owner goals. Whatever. We have a probably like a middle of the pack type of owner in Cincinnati. um, he's demanding in his patience. All these are pretty much neutral, and he wants a winning record, which I think is hilarious because of the team and the budget he put together. So we have a neutral owner, probably. He's gonna want a better record quicker, but whatever, I suppose. The long term money is minimal. So that way, hopefully, if we can build a cheaper winner, this budget will expand in the coming years. We have some young pieces to build around. Hunter Green is a good starting pitcher to build around. I don't like the lack of movement in Cincinnati. I don't like the fly ball pitcher in Cincinnati. In every sim I've seen, he kind of gets roughed up. So we either build him or we can get a pretty good prospect package for Hunter Green back. So, or, even this fly ball just develops. I've seen it change often enough. Um, in terms of other pitchers on the roster, Alexis Diaz is a good reliever, but another extreme fly ball. So we could probably get a good return for him if we want to. Nick Lodolo is a good young starting pitcher. And then these guys are all pretty much just whatever. There's nothing super thrilling in here. The offensive side, Tyler Stevenson is a young catcher whose main tool is probably this defense. This is fine, and his personality ratings are good. Christian Encarnacion Strand is a good young player. I think it's funny that they have him up here in the major league level. Stuart Fairchild. They're. It's not like this roster should be devoid of talent. I'm always usually opposed to Kevin Newman. Nothing against the man personally, just his he's never a good player in this game. Yeah, so we got some young players. We got Joey Votto still. Jonathan India is still kind of young. There's plenty of intriguing young players on the major league roster and down in the minors. Ellie De La Cruz is a top 14. He's number 14 prospect in baseball. Noelvi Marte is top 100. Last I checked, I guess not anymore, but he was a top 100 prospect. Matt McLean's a good young prospect. And Michael Ciani, everybody's favorite center fielder. Look at this. Um, so this team, with a few correct moves, could be contending very, very quickly, I think. So for this season, oh, we're in AAA. Yeah, not many pitching prospects. So for this season, I think we're not going to do a whole lot. I think we're just going to kind of leave this roster up to our new manager, Joe Madden. We're going to kind of just leave everything up to him, pretty much. When I pick my managers, I try and pick managers with history or a manager who I can build history. And I thought Cincinnati is probably a logical place for Joe Madden to land. I think that he's a better manager. And I think after getting fired from the Angels, I think that he probably learned that there's some things that he should be doing better. Some of the things that worked in Tampa Bay and that worked in Chicago didn't really work for that Angels club. But this is a young up and coming team which excuse me, I think he can do a good job and perform well. So that's what I think. minor leagues. What am I looking for? I'm looking for organization. I'm looking for the top prospects page, and I can never find it. Maybe it's just me. Player development. Yeah. Okay. So player development. We have the 14th farm system in baseball out of 30. That's not great, but that's not terrible either. So Ellie De La Cruz, Cam Collier, we didn't talk about. He's number 26. Noelvi Martes 104. Chase Petty, Matt McLean, Spencer Steer, Edwin Arroyo. These guys are not terrible. So what I'm gonna do for this season is we bumped a lot of money up into the scouting budget, and I usually just keep these 25% everywhere. I think that's fine, but 20 million is a decently high scouting budget for good old Brody Van Wagenen, ex Mets GM, who will probably jump ship after the season. And then player development we bumped up to 30 million. So this farm system should hopefully bear fruit very quickly for us. We did allocate some budget to, excuse me, wow. We did allocate some money to the draft budget, and we cut our international amateur free agent budget just because by that point we'll be able to come up with that $5 million that we're going to need. And right now it's better suited because we're already over cap by about $16 million. Ways we can get around that, we'll trade for some money. Joey Votto's big deal is really, the biggest part of this contract, biggest part of this budget, and player salary is his 25 million. We can move off of Myers. I would love to move off of Newman. All these guys are theoretically movable once we can get probably closer to the deadline and free up some money. Would I love to move these guys now? Absolutely, but that's probably not going to happen. So we got to do some Michael Ciani. I would love to have up. A lot of these guys are going to go down. Right now we have 15 pitchers, so 15 hitters. So 2 of these guys are going to go down, and 3 of these relievers, pitchers, are going to go down. I try and keep it 13 and 13. Down here in strategy, I'm going to give Joe Madden almost full control. I like stolen bases. I want you to have as high as you can, as high as you'll let me, really. I like aggressive base running. Not a fan of hit and runs or bunts, really. Not a fan of bunts for hits more than this is, so I think neutral's fine. Pitch around is fine. All this is fine. I want you to shift more, and I like these ticked up just a bit. That's good for starters. I would like a little quicker for relievers, and we want the platoon matchups. And I want you pinch hitting for pitchers if that ever happens. Yeah, I don't hate pinch runners either. 80% I think is fine. Sometimes it's 85 depending on how good the bullpen is. This is when your relievers get benched. And I think starting pitcher max is like 110. It tends to adjust the amount that the amount of pitches that your pitchers throw before they get tired. So I'm going to leave the general up there, and then we're going to adjust some strategies in here. I think Hunter Green is a borderline starter right now with a 55 stamina, which is good. But I forget, I think if it has this borderline starter designation, that's not good. So there's a good chance that we just throw him in the bullpen to develop for this season and see how that goes. But I also want to keep him as a starter, and I don't want to really mess with it. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to have a 21 batter faced number. So that way he only goes through the third time through the order for the top 3 guys, and it gives him a little bit of leeway. I find with 18, they don't really, on average, they pitch about 4 innings a start. So if we bump it up a little bit, then he gets a little bit closer to 5. Nick Lodolo looks interesting. I think we're going to do a similar thing with most of these young pitchers. We're going to go to the batter faced and pull him at 21. Put a little bit more pressure on the bullpen, but keep our pitchers happy. Now, when you're in Cincinnati, you need these extreme ground ball pitchers. It looks like Graham Ashcraft had a decent season last year for Cincinnati. ERA was a little high, but his ERA plus was low, but the WAR number was good, so he's fine. I think we're gonna leave you alone. We're gonna leave you to your own devices. Probably like 100 pitch count. Kevin Herget is a fly ball pitcher. We're probably gonna look to move off of him. And then Ben Lively is a low. I don't actually know who this guy is, but that's okay. We're gonna leave you probably at like a 90 pitches. And then let's see what Joe Madden wants for the staff. So it's probably gonna be most of these guys: Chase Anderson, Levi Stout. These guys are probably gonna go down. Luis Cessa's that's a good pitcher. He's probably a starter, to be perfectly honest. But anyway, Silvino Bracco is our closer, extreme fly ball. So I think that this season we're pretty much not going to touch a whole lot. We're just going to run through. This is our intro. We got our staff in place. We'll see where we're at the trade deadline. And we're going to probably look to move most of these fly ball pitchers. And we're going to try and go almost extreme ground ballers as close we can. Because, oh, that's interesting profile. Buck Farmer. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to look for ground ballers and, I guess, neutral players. And we're going to see how that goes. I'm a little worried about all these fly ball pitchers in Cincinnati. That does not seem like smart roster building. And we're going to hope that Hunter Green, this fly ball, at least gets to neutral. But he pitches hard. He's got a normal arm slot. His stuff is good. His control is gonna be good if this develops fully. And this movement's not good, which is worrying. So it's great having this top young pitcher here. It's really nice. But if he can't develop this movement a little bit better, and we can pray for a little bit of TCR or a little bit higher scouting accuracy in one day, then this would be an issue for me. But one thing I do have that I've never done before was if we go to manager's office, manager options, I retain almost all of these, right? Lineups and depth charts. I can probably leave to Joe Madden for this year, but I do want the ability to adjust based on if he's not playing somebody that I want, et cetera, et cetera. The one thing I'm leaving is minor league promotions and demotions. I'm giving to my assistant GM, Rebecca McFeeters. So that way she controls when prospects get promoted and demoted. That's a skill I'm still not super comfortable doing, is deciding when to pull these guys up and send them back down and when to move them around. So if I leave it to the AI, and it's an AI that I kind of trust, then we're going to do that. And the AI is usually pretty good at promoting and demoting. So that way, if I see somebody getting stuck in AAA, then I can pull them up to the majors and make that decision. So I don't really have to worry about prospects until we get to AAA. So that's kind of the rundown. I'm kind of excited to start this. We have there are a lot of question marks. There's a lot of like good building blocks, but there are a lot of more question marks, in my opinion, that we're going to have to deal with and figure out where the pieces fit and how they're going to fit best. Like this lineup. Hold on. Let's go back. Yeah. So one thing that is not going to work is Jonathan India needs to be playing every day, right? He's a pretty good player overall. Not really special at anything, but he needs to be playing. He's young enough that he should be playing. And someone like Joey Votto, he should not be the inhibitor to Jonathan India. And really, India should be playing over Myers. That's, I guess, my real complaint here is Will Myers is even on the roster. So we may just move these guys around, stick somebody at first, see how that turns out. Even Joey Votto, I would probably play at first and then maybe DH India or put India at first, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't really want, unless it's strictly against lefties, I don't really want Will Myers playing all that much. He's someone we're gonna look to move, and even his splits, they're not even that great. This is nothing special against the lefties. He's not a lefty masher. So again, nothing against this guy personally, and I just want to make that clear that nothing is against any of these guys personally. I just don't like the ratings that the game portrays and how they're gonna perform for our fictional, entirely made up video game series. So schedule wise, let's run through this real quick. A lot of this looks like a tough ish gauntlet right here. We got the Braves, Phillies again. Pittsburgh is not going to be awful. Chicago's probably going to be, I would say, slightly below average. Tampa Bay is going to be tough. Texas is going to be good. Oakland looks like the only real soft spot in this first month. So we're going to probably evaluate next after April ends. May looks arguably even tougher. San Diego, the Mets, maybe even Chicago, the Yankees, St. Louis, Boston. Those are all teams projected to be good. And let's hit preseason predictions. Tampa Bay is projected to be good with Baltimore and the Yankees close behind. Minnesota in the Central, and the Angels surprisingly projected to win the division, which is probably just based on Trout and Ohtani. The Astros are going to be good. Texas is going to be good. Seattle's going to be fine. One thing we're also going to look to do is probably next season or the one after that, we're going to move Oakland to Vegas. This is one that really is really unfortunate because there's no reason that Oakland should be moving other than John Fisher and his, where is John Fisher, owner, and his penny pinching fiscal personality. He should probably sell the team, in my opinion. I think I mentioned that in one of my last episodes. And this team should be in Oakland. There's no reason that this loyalty and interest, this probably is even higher than what's really reflected. It's a good market, right? You see the Giants turnout, you see how they are. You see when the A's are good, you can see that their turnout, and I think A's fans deserve better. But just for continuity's sake, I'm probably going to move them to Vegas because I think the team itself deserves better than what is reflected here. And if you move it to Vegas, if I physically move them to Vegas, then we can adjust this. We can increase the interest and the loyalty. And we may also end up moving Tampa Bay. We end up moving them to Montreal, most likely. I think that they're on the rise here. But again, from what I understand, the location of the ballpark is really prohibitive to getting fans into the ballpark. And if you can move them to Montreal, a city that deserves a team, we're going to do that. And we're going to look to expand once we do these physical moves. So I think next year or the year after, we're going to move Tampa and we're going to move Oakland. We're going to relocate them. And then the year after that, we're going to expand. I just saw a really cool series from Old School Sports who just posted a bunch about starting an expansion team from scratch, which I think I would really consider doing. That looks cool. But for here, we're not going to do that. We're taking the Reds over. We're going to make that our long-term playthrough. And then if I ever want to sidetrack, we can do that. But anyway, that's the tentative plan. National League East, the Braves and the Mets in a dogfight. The Cardinals are projected to kind of run away with the division-ish, and the Dodgers are projected to win 102 games. Here in the Central, we're projected for slightly under 500. If we can get to 500, that'd be cool, but that's not really the goal right now. The goal is to see what we have for the future, maybe make some deals at the trade deadline, move off some money, get some prospects, and let our existing prospects develop. A couple of them I could see coming up at some point. Ellie De La Cruz could get a cameo. Noelvi Marte could come up. Chase Petty could come up probably as a reliever. This is a pretty cool profile, and he's an extreme baller. Matt McLean could come up. A lot of and Spencer Steer's already up, so a lot of these guys could come up, but we'll see how it goes. So anyway, I think that's it. We're gonna play through until the next time we really need to stop, and then we're gonna see where we're at, and we're just gonna kind of get through this season. We're gonna see how this first one goes, and then we're gonna reevaluate. So thanks for watching episode 1. Thanks for sticking around, and stay tuned for episode 2. This Red Sim I'm pretty excited for. They haven't been really good in a long time, and I think that this is a team that could return to prominence. I think this loyalty and interest, similar to everybody else, could really skyrocket. And with that, the budget as well, if we can build a cheap contender and then open up the budget for some free agent signings. So thanks, everyone. We will see you in the next episode.